Josh, thank you for coming in.
Pleasure.
So, talk to me about this marketing masterclass.
Okay, so I started out in this industry about 7 years ago. It was a family-run business, and there are a lot of parallels between that business and what I see a lot of people doing, which is that they're very reliant on word of mouth and referrals. And if people don't come in and walk in off the street, they're going to have a quiet month and ultimately a quiet year. What we did that differentiated ourselves was 7 years ago, really set out on building the digital footprint of our business on the back of social media, paid ads, and that was the only place I wanted to go. And we built that out over 7 years now. I think 220,000 followers on Instagram, 540,000 followers on TikTok, nearly 10k subscribers on YouTube. So it's growing really, really nicely. And we have a tap that we can reliably turn on and turn off when we need more leads or we need more customers. And ultimately, that is knowledge that needs to be imparted on the rest of the KBB industry, who are really lagging behind. It's quite an archaic industry in terms of the marketing side of things, and they're very slow adopters. So people in the industry might see Deval and say, oh, they post photos on Instagram. That's how they got so big and got to 700,000 followers. So that's what they'll go and do, without realizing that, yeah, that worked 7 years ago and it certainly doesn't work now. And so all of these strategies that we implement is constantly evolving, constantly changing. And this marketing masterclass is set up to be a one-day crash course in not only understanding the fundamentals of digital marketing, but be able to actually go and then implement it with tactics and strategies to be able to grow your brand.
So how did you learn how to do this?
So I'm completely self-taught. I'm actually an accountant by trade. I studied with one of the big four, got my accounting qualification. The day I got my results, I left. I hated every second of it, but it was a good grounding. And whilst looking for things to do next, I had a conversation with my parents, a long, fateful conversation, and they had this kitchen business, and they'd grown to where they were through word of mouth. It was a nice business, maybe 20 staff at the time, but they never really pushed the gas. They never had a showroom per se. They had a factory with a small, one or two displays in there, but they never really marketed it properly. So I saw it as a massive opportunity, a lot of low-hanging fruit. So I decided to join the business, and on day one I came in and it was like, okay, how do we grow the business? That's what I was in charge of growing the business. So how do you grow a business? Well, marketing. And I knew nothing about marketing, and so I started to learn. I started to teach myself. I watched YouTube videos, I read books, and I realised that digital marketing, a lot of it is actually just as much about maths as it is about art. And the maths background actually, fatefully, really was great for my accounting background, in that I could analyse the data. And a lot of it is putting out a video, interpreting the data, tweaking it, iterating, do it again. And especially on the paid ads front, there's a huge amount of data there that you have to look into, understand what the numbers are telling you. It's almost like reading tea leaves to the layman. But once you understand it, you can actually take that data and run with it and actually be empowered to make decisions that are going to grow the brand.
And is that something that somebody can come to the masterclass and understand and implement, or is it because it always feels a bit like it's another language?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to break down all of that. Every term, this black box, we're going to open it up and explain every aspect of digital marketing. And there's two ways it can go from there. Either you're going to be empowered to be able to then go and do it yourself, hire your own in-house team, or bring your marketing executive along and they will understand how to do it on a much better level. Or they will then be armed with the knowledge to then actually get an agency or someone else to do that work for them. But there's a lot of agencies that can pull the wool over your eyes because they know so much more than you about this one thing, and they can spit terms at you that you don't understand, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay. 8 months later, you're down 30 grand with nothing to show for it. Whereas if you come to this seminar, at least you will be able to understand what they're telling you and be able to make a decision whether it is good or bad.
And what sort of impact, similar company to yours?
Well, I can only use ours as an example, but we basically quadrupled the size of the business over the last 6 years, I'd say, on the back of the digital marketing that we've done. So it used to be that my dad and my mum would go and see every customer. We had a team of designers, so they'd go back, they'd brief the designers, they'd do the drawings, and then they'd go away. My parents would go back, present it, sell the job, it would go into the factory. And from there to where we are now with 8 senior designers, 5 juniors, a whole technical team, factory, we're about 60 staff now. It really has come on leaps and bounds. And when you have the flow, a consistent flow of leads, you can then really start to build out that sales team and hire people that are gonna, give your clients the designs that they want and ultimately sell those. Nothing gives me greater joy now than playing golf on a Friday afternoon and getting messages from my sales director that we've sold 3 kitchens. It's unbelievable. We haven't been there to do the work, but those leads are coming in thick and fast every day on the back of the marketing that we've done. And it's not an overnight thing. That's the other thing to know. It's not an overnight thing, but it does snowball. So it compounds over time. The more work that you put in now, you do it every day, you do it consistently, it will pay dividends over the long run. And there's some stuff we can do right at the beginning to be able to get more transactional paid ads that can get people coming in straight away. But long-term brand building is where you want to be to reduce the reliance on those paid ads and ultimately have people coming in left, right, centre.
And so what sort of time frame can people expect to see results?
On the paid side, if you're running paid ads, that could be a couple of weeks. You could start to see some leads roll in, and it is, as I said, it's very transactional. But it's like a treadmill. Once you're on it and you're reliant on that, you can't stop and you're constantly having to do that. The brand side, it can take anywhere from a year to 3. But as long as you've got the leads from the paid side coming in profitably, you can fund the more brand side that we call it, which is all of the organic content that you're filming and putting out every day. And it's a mindset shift. You need to, we stop framing ourselves as we sell kitchens to we are a media company that sells kitchens. And that's how we frame everything that we do. And that's why rather than pay a freelance photographer, we have our own in-house team of photographers, because then we can photograph 3, 4, 5 projects in a week and it's not costing us 20 grand a month to do that. Not be too worried about how polished and how finely tuned the content is, because you're doing it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting the volume and you're getting into that cadence of putting out a huge amount of content.
And what sort of investment do people need to make to get to where you are? They're going to have to spend an awful lot of money. What's the process?
I mean, listen, we're probably now spending, let's say, 15 grand a month on paid ads alone, right? Not everyone has to do that off the bat, and not a lot of people can afford to do that off the bat. We can do that because we know it's profitable, and we know that if we acquire a customer for £1,000, that 15 grand a month will eventually yield 15 new customers from that money. I would probably not spend less than, let's say, £1,500 a month, and even more tactically, probably only on one of the platforms out of the 2, and that's only because unless you spend that sort of money, you don't actually leave what Facebook calls the learning phase. The ads don't reach enough people to be able to get the data it needs to be better. And so there will be a small initial investment on that front. And then obviously outside of the paid ads, there's the investment in the brand stuff, which is all of the content that you're going to be putting out. And that is an ongoing thing for a long time. It is an investment, but I think that over time, and we're nearly there now, but over time people will stop looking at marketing as a cost center and actually as a revenue driver, and that's really what it is and what it has been for us. It's the lifeblood of our business now. You have to have something great that you're selling. You have to have confidence in that. Your product, your service, everything else has to be unbelievable, because ultimately what you want is to market to new people, get them in the door, sell to them, and they then organically will refer people, and that just supercharges everything that you're doing. Anyone can come, and I would implore that either the directors of the business, or if you can't attend, then the person running your marketing would come. But effectively what I've tried to do is boil down my 7 years of knowledge, experience, lots of failures, to a one day, this is everything that I've learned over the last 7 years.
And is there anything that people need to do ahead of coming on the day?
No, I'd say come ready to learn. The podcast that I listen to, super important, keeps you in the know, keeps you real tactical, practical advice in today's environment.
How do people manage to keep up to date?
Testing is such a huge part of what we do, and putting out different video formats and testing different things is so important, because the algorithm's always changing. So we might test, let's say, 3 new ideas a month, 3 new frameworks that we might do 3 or 4 times. So that's 12 new videos, and over the course of the month we'll be able to see, is that outperforming the stuff that we used to do, and maybe the algorithm is actually taking it in this place. And if those videos tend to do well, 300, 400,000 views a video, all of a sudden, okay, we're going to start putting all of the eggs into that basket, film more of those videos, that's going to be a priority, and let's see what else we can test to be able to keep up to date. When you're selling a kitchen, it's such a long buying cycle. People don't buy a kitchen every day. It's not an impulse purchase. People are in the market, and it's a long buying cycle. So you want to be able to hit them every single day, so that when they do make that purchase decision, you are top of mind.
In terms of being able to not get lost and stand out?
Anybody can do it. It's about the format that it takes. One of the things we'll talk heavily at the seminar about is having someone as a face of the brand. A lot of business owners don't want to do that. They don't want to put their face out there. But I suppose the best piece of advice is to really look at your own skill set and which parts of it, because there are a lot of parts, which parts could you potentially do? Are you a good writer? Okay, in that case, you're going to write blog posts, you're going to write LinkedIn articles, you're going to do that side of things. Are you a good front man and you've got a lot of energy and passion? Okay, well, you can star in the videos and you can be the one that's talking and you can be in front of camera, but you might need someone to actually film the videos and edit them and do that sort of thing. So no one person can do it all. Find what you can do, hire the deficiency.
And does this work for small companies with just one or two people as well as the bigger companies?
I'd argue that the bigger companies are the ones that are worse at this. And so it doesn't matter if you're 2 people or 10 people or 100 people, you got to get your marketing on point. Ultimately, if you are a small outfit and there's only 2-3 people, then you as the owners of the business are going to have to do more. I track every month what we're spending on paid ads, what we're spending on the creators and all this stuff. What's our return on ad spend? That's a really common term in the marketing industry, ROAS, return on ad spend. For a D2C brand like, direct-to-consumer brand like an Allbirds, I don't know if you know, they do the shoes direct-to-consumer, or any of these companies, and massive companies, they'd be lucky to get a 2.5 times return on ad spend, right? We are cycling at the moment about 47. So that means for every £1 we spend on marketing, we're generating £47. So if I told you I had a machine inside my jacket, that if you put in a tenner, I'll give you 500 quid, I think people are going to go for that, right?
Yeah. And do you genuinely think that people can take it, I suppose, mirror what you've done?
100%. There's nothing that I'm doing that anyone else couldn't do. Most of it is about the commitment to it. What I'm doing is putting out, 50, 60, 70 pieces of content a month.
So you've done it in the kitchen industry. Does that translate really well within the wider kind of woodworking industry?
Okay, so yeah, absolutely. So what we do in the kitchen industry that is applicable for bathrooms, bedrooms, joinery, any of the stuff, it's a very visual niche. What we do is we make beautiful furniture that is visually appealing, the photos look nice, the videos look amazing. Writing a blog post about the fact that you use dovetail joints, people are going to be falling asleep. Whereas if you show them the photos and the videos, that's really got a lot of bang.
People who have seen and heard about this seminar and maybe sitting on the fence, what would you say to them?
I don't want to be dramatic, but if you don't and you don't up your marketing game, you are going to get lost. And the people that say, oh, you know what, I've got great referrals and all the rest of it, that will go away because we're in a very, very crowded marketplace and it is very hard to stand out from all of the noise, and there is a lot of noise. So if you don't do something about it, it might be great now, but in 1, 3, 5 years' time, that is going away. So you need to start now so that when that day comes, you are properly prepared and you have that consistent flow of leads that you can turn on and turn off when you need to. I think that people are going to be less driven by a referral when there is so much on social media that they're seeing every day, and people are now subconsciously making a buying choice before they even walk in the door. And in order to get to that point, you need to have a brand and a digital footprint that allows them to do that. So we have customers now that come in, they're buying a kitchen regardless of what happens. The designer could sit there with a shirt off. Maybe not that extreme, but we have pre-qualified them because they've bought into the brand, they know what we do. Devol's a great example, 100% the same. If someone wants a Devol kitchen, there's nothing that anyone else can pitch them that's going to be, even if it's the same thing, same style of kitchen, same everything, same design. If it's a Devol kitchen, they're going to want it. Why? Because they bought into the brand.
How does a small company build a brand?
Well, it's all the same tactics, to be honest. It's all the same stuff. There are small companies in the industry that are, that do a very good job of it. Herringbone Kitchens is a great example in Canterbury. They've got, 70,000 followers. I think the majority, I speak to Ellie and Will, the owners, the majority of their leads come from their social media, and they've limited themselves now. They say they do 80 projects a year, and I would bet good money on the fact that 80% of that comes off the back of their Instagram. So while the smaller companies, by virtue of that they are small, don't need as many clients or customers to be able to make it and grow. Whereas bigger companies, obviously, you look at a small bone or whatever, you need to be able to do 300 kitchens a year to be able to maintain, if not grow. So you just got to be doing the same stuff, but more of it.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds really exciting. So
I'm excited.
really looking forward to it.
Yeah, see everyone there.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.